Hey, what is up, mortals? It is GrogFunky here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 6 of What If Deku Was a Dragon Slayer. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. Midoriya and his fellow Class 1A students all gathered in their homeroom without fanfare. Their calm start to the day was a welcome relief to the students after the hassle of the reporter invasion of the previous day. As the first bell rang, Wendy, the new class representative, told all her classmates to get to their seats. The blue-haired girl and the other students knew that Miss Scarlet would not be happy if she found the class in disarray when she arrived. Knowing that the stern woman often solved with force, the students of 1A did not want to press their luck. Even Bakugo, who didn't listen to anyone, got to his seat. He probably had no wish to be punched through a wall again. Urza slid the door open and walked into the classroom. The fiery redhead scanned the room and gave a satisfied nod at seeing that her students were prepared for class. The tall woman then took her place at the lectern to begin class. Good morning. Today we have a special class. The way Urza accented the word special made every member of Class 1A strutter in fear. In the back of their minds, the students all wondered if their reaming teacher would threaten them with expulsion. Today, we will be going to an off-campus location. The powerful hero then held up a card that had the words rescue written in a stylized font. Today's class will be about rescue. While combat with villains gets most of the media attention, it is just as important that you understand the methods and manners of a rescue operation. You never know when you will have to render first aid or protect civilians from harm. Today's training will give you a better understanding of these practices. The crimson-haired warrior then pressed a button on the lectern. The shelves holding the students' hero costumes emerged from the left wall of the classroom. I know you are all super amped about costumes, but be aware that you have not gotten used to them yet, and they could restrict your movements. Go get changed and meet us at the bus stop. After the students got changed, they met at the bus stop, just like Urza instructed, loaded up the bus, and they were off to the training site. As the bus rolled along, the students were surprised to see Midoriya, Kaminari, and Wenny bent over in the fetal position. All three looked like they might lose their lunch at any second. Jiro was the first one to speak her mind. Are you three okay? You look really sick. Midoriya managed to not vomit when he responded. I don't know, but I think I'm suffering from motion sickness. I've never had it before. Same here. I've never felt like this on a bus before. Glad I'm not the only one suffering. Urza overheard the teens and figured she'd better give them an answer. It is probably because they can channel natural energies through their bodies. Individuals with power sets like that tend to have high body and spatial awareness. Unfortunately, someone with this hyper-awareness can get motion sickness very easily. Urza knew the real reason for the teens' discomfort was because they were Dragon Slayers. While Kaminari had not used any Dragon Slayer spells, she knew the bolt-headed teen had been trained by Laxus Treyer. It would make sense that Kaminari would have been trained in the ways of the Dragon Slayer. Urza figured that the blonde teen had not shown off that part of his power because Laxus told him not to. Laxus tended to only use his Dragon Slayer powers when he got serious. Of course, Urza was surprised that these three were getting their sick from the bus ride. She felt bad for her students, but knew that this was a good sign. The more powerful a Dragon Slayer got, the worse their motion sickness got. Urza was so lost in thought that she only saw that the bus had arrived at the last minute. The wild-eyed woman cleared her throat and spoke with a firm tone. We are here, boys and girls. The tall woman then motioned for the students to exit the bus. After exiting the bus in an orderly fashion, the students were met by the space hero 13. Suddenly, Uraraka exclaimed at the sight of the space-suited hero. Wow! I can't believe 13 is one of our teachers! She's one of my favorite heroes! Midoriya was shocked to hear the pink-cheeked girl get excited. It's weird to hear you get so excited, Uraraka. The short girl got a little embarrassed by Midoriya's comment. I like how she's so effective at saving people, and her quirk is awesome. As the students talked about how cool it was that all the teachers at UA were pro-heroes, Urza pulled 13 to the side and asked a question. Where is All Might? I thought he was supposed to be here. 13 held up 3 fingers as she spoke. It seems he overused his quirk on the way to work this morning. He is currently resting back at UA. He told me that he would join us after he rested for a little bit. Urza got an irritated look on her face. That man is an idiot. Running around stopping small-time criminals in his condition? I'm going to give him a piece of my mind later. 13 then gave the 1A students a short talk about how dangerous their quirks really are. She told the students to keep in mind that even quirks that seem harmless could be used to kill if not used properly. After that sobering lecture, 13 led Urza and the students into the dome behind her. The students all went wide-eyed at the sight of the interior of the dome. The whole place was subdivided into areas that looked like scenes from a disaster movie. 13 then explained the interior setup to the students. I designed this place to simulate all kinds of disasters. It is the perfect place to train young heroes how to handle rescues in a disaster. And I call this place the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ. As surprised as the kids were by the interior, they were more surprised by the name of the facility. All of the students thought, it is the same initials as Universal Studios Japan. Suddenly, a dark and ominous shadow appeared in the middle of the USJ. As the shape solidified into the shape of a doorway made of darkness, just as the doorway took shape, a skinny young man dressed in black walked through the portal, followed by a large man with a bird beak. Several more portals opened and more strange figures emerged. Kirishima looked at the growing group in the middle of the dome with great confusion. Is that part of the exercise? Urza had been watching the scene and was panicking inside. She finally spoke up when her students started to move toward the ominous crowd. Stay back, all of you! This is not an exercise! Those are villains! Sensei, what should we do? Get to the door and exit the building. 13 and I will take care of these villains. With a flash of yellow light, 2 swords appeared in Urza's hands. The armored woman then leaped into the middle of the assembled villains and began laying waste to the group. Urza took out most of the villains with a single slash of her sword. That sight was an awe-inspiring for many of the students. Wendy broke her classmates out of their awe-induced paralysis. Guys, we need to do like Miss Scarlet said. The blue-haired girl then led the members of Class 1A back towards the doors. Before the teens made it to the doors, they were intercepted by a man who looked like he was made of shadows and smoke. The sinister figure stared at the youths with glowing eyes. After a few minutes, the Stygian figure spoke with a voice that sounded as evil as his appearance. Hello, heroes. We are the League of Villains. We have come here to kill All Might, but I see that he is not here. Funny. We were told that he would be here. Midoriya and Bakugo got fiery looks on their faces. Neither boy thought that these villains could kill the #1 hero. But just the words were enough to get the boys to rush to the shadowy evildoer. Before the boys could land their attacks, the villain engulfed the 2 brazen young heroes in a blanket of shadows, sending the fiery teens to parts unknown. What did you do to my friends, you giant will-o-wisp? The same thing I'm going to do with the rest of you, mini-heroes. Be gone! The Shadow Man wrapped all of the students throughout the facility. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, and Safari. If it's a browser, it has Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, Kohl's, wherever you shop. It's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these major sites is click that little yellow-orange button, and it will scan the entire internet and find discount codes just for you. It takes 2 clicks to install Honey. Now, anytime you check out, Honey will scan the entire internet and find coupon codes just for you. If there's a coupon code, they'll find it. And if there isn't a coupon code, you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible, and there is literally not one available on the internet. If you install Honey right now, you can save like $50 to $100 on your shopping, doing nothing. There's literally no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks, 10 million people use it, 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. Elsewhere, Midoriya flew through darkness and emerged into a crumbling building. The flaming fist that was meant for the shadowy villain collided with a dilapidated wall. Midoriya managed to dodge the debris coming down from the ceiling. That was a close one. I almost got buried there. Suddenly, a pile of rubbish started to move. The high-strung Izuku panicked, thinking that something was wrong. Ah! What is going on? Suddenly, Bakugo emerged from underneath the pile. Kachan, what are you doing under there? The ceiling caved in on me when my attack went off. Okay, looks like we are in the earthquake zone. Of course it is, you idiot! Quit saying obvious stuff! Before Midoriya could respond to Bakugo's explosive rhetoric, the two were attacked by a group of villains. Look at this, Izuku! We have guests! The 2 boys went to work. Midoriya lit his hands and feet on fire. The force of the grenette's attack knocked out villains left and right. Bakugo also finished off bad guys using his explosive combat style. Before long, the floor of the room was covered in passed out bad guys. I don't like being underestimated. I know what you mean. These villains look intimidating, but they barely have any control of their powers. If I had to guess, there are probably only 2 or 3 guys who are actually dangerous. I'd say the portal villain, the hand guy, and the big one with the beak are the ones you're talking about. No joke, Greenlocks! The 2 boys' back and forth banter was interrupted when a familiar figure came crashing through the wall into the room the 2 boys were in. As the figure landed on the ground in an unconscious heap, Bakugo realized that the person laying in front of them was Kirishima. Before Midoriya or Bakugo could move toward the spiky-haired boy, a large villain entered the hole that Kirishima left in the wall. The villain tried to speak, but Bakugo and Midoriya acted quickly. Both boys delivered powerful blows to the villain's face. Bakugo using his explosions, and Midoriya using his flaming fist. With that, the villain was knocked out. The two rivals then turned to check on their rock-skinned friend. Kirishima laid unconscious on the dirty floor of the wrecked building. From what those two hotheads could tell, their red-eyed friend had no serious injuries. Midoriya grabbed Kirishima's shoulders and shook the teen violently. "Wake up, Kirishima! This is no time to sleep! Tell us what happened to you!" Kirishima did the best to answer, but Midoriya's constant shaking made the red-haired dizzy. Kirishima spoke through the violent jerking. "I'll tell you, Midoriya! Just stop shaking me!" Midoriya got a shocked look on his face and released his grip on the firm-skinned teen. "Sorry about that." Kirishima caught his breath and answered his two classmates. "I was right behind you two when you attacked the portal dude. I guess I got teleported to this location with you. But I found myself in a different part of the building, surrounded by villains. I managed to fight off most of them, but that last one attacked me from behind. That was when I came flying into this room." Bakugo huffed in irritation. Then the teen spoke in his usual loud and angry manner. "Well, at least you aren't injured. Come on, we need to get back in the front gate and take out that shadow bastard." "Should we try and find our classmates first? You know, strength in numbers and all that?" Midoriya went over to the window, closed his eyes, and started to sniff the air. "If you want to waste time trying to find everyone, then go ahead. I want to end this. That portal jerk is their way in and out. We take them out, and this will save everyone." Midoriya opened his eyes and turned back the conversation. "While I don't agree with this tone, he has a point, Kirishima. The longer his attack goes on, and more of our classmates will get hurt. Besides, most of them are in groups, and if all of the villains are on the same level as that one, then our classmates can handle themselves." "Whoa, you two are really manly. You both really believe in our classmates. Well, count me into your plan. Just one thing, Midoriya. How do you know our classmates are in groups?" Izuku replied matter-of-factly. "I smelled them." "Say what now?" "Green Bean here has a sense of smell that would put a dog to shame. Speaking of which, are any of our classmates still by the front gate?" "Yes, they are. It's hard to tell from this distance, but they seem to be holding the portal villain at bay." "Good. Listen. Both of you. Kirishima, you and I will take out the portal villain. Midoriya, you head toward Urza-sensei and see if you can help against the hand guy and the bird jerk." Both Midoriya and Kirishima nodded in agreement, and with that, the three classmates ran toward the main gate. As the three drew close to the front gate, Midoriya split off from his red-eyed compatriots and headed toward the major battle in the center of the dome. Midoriya approached the conflict quietly and got a read of the situation before jumping in. What the green teen saw shocked him to his core. The ground was littered with villains. All of the criminals had cuts and bruises all over their bodies. Midoriya figured this was from fighting Urza. He knew his teacher was a powerful wizard. He also knew that her main power was called Requip. This power allowed her to change out weapons and whole armors. The villains never stood a chance against Urza. Her power and fighting style was perfect for handling large groups of enemies. Of course, the teen was more shocked by the fact that Urza was struggling against the large bird villain. The fierce redhead hacked and slashed at the beast. But he just regenerated. Urza was also breathing very heavily, and her body was shaking slightly. Midoriya figured the armored woman had used a lot of magical power. If she kept going like this, she was going to pass out. That would leave her vulnerable to the villains. Midoriya was pulled out of these thoughts when he heard a voice. The voice spoke very quietly. If the forceful teen's hearing was not as powerful as it was, then he would not have heard it. "Midoriya, over here!" Midoriya looked around and saw both Wendy and Kaminari hiding behind a nearby rock. The fire-breathing teen crept over to his friends. "How did you two get here?" "I was with Sue and Mineta. After we dealt with a group of villains, I came back to see if I could help. I sent Sue and Mineta to find and help the others." "Similar story here, except I was with Jiro and Yaoyorozu. We also had to do with a large group of bad guys. The girls and I agreed that I should come here and they would find the others. So what now?" Midoriya thought for a moment and then spoke. "I think we should wait before we get involved." "Is that a good idea? I mean, look at Scarlet-sensei." "No, Midoriya's right. Titania's fighting style is all about brute force. We might get in the way if we jumped in now." As the three wizards were discussing what to do, they suddenly heard the voice of their teacher scream in pain. When the three looked over, they saw the hand villain holding Urza back. The black-clad baddie had his hands on the warrior woman's elbow, and the flesh was breaking away from her body. This left the muscle exposed, and Urza could barely hold on to her sword now. Midoriya now knew that the three had to intervene. If they did not, then the villain would likely kill their headstrong teacher. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that we the Celestials have many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below.